The ring is gone. Sauron has fallen. But for Aragorn, the story is only halfway finished. He did not rush straight to the throne. He traveled from the victory camp near the river back toward the great white city, arriving at its gates on the first day of May. Waiting for him was Faramir, the acting steward, who offered to step aside completely. Aragorn refused to strip him of his title. Instead, he told Faramir the role would stay in his family for generations. When the people were asked if this ranger should become their king, they answered with one loud voice. And so, right there at the gates, the crownless became king. But a coronation was not enough for Aragorn. A kingdom needed more than a crown. It needed hope growing from the ground up. So in late June, he climbed the slopes of the mountain overlooking the city, guided by his old friend Gandalf. High up, hidden away from the world, he found a small sapling, a descendant of the ancient white tree that had once stood as a symbol of the kingdom. He carried it down himself and planted it in the palace courtyard, right where the dead tree used to stand. Just days later, elves arrived from the north, and among them was Arwen, along with her father Elrond. Elrond handed Aragorn one final gift, an ancient silver staff representing rule over the northern kingdom, one Aragorn's ancestors had once lost. On Midsummer's Day, Aragorn and Arwen were finally married. After decades of waiting, of sacrifice, and of uncertainty, their story became one. Aragorn's next trip was not one of celebration, though. Barely a month after his wedding, he set out again, this time leading a solemn procession north. King Theoden of Rohan, who had died in battle, deserved to be brought home. Along the way, the group passed through a quiet gray forest near the northern hills, and there, Aragorn made a decision that surprised many. He announced that stretch of woodland belonged forever to a reclusive tribe of forest-dwelling people, and that no outsider could enter without their permission. It was a small act, but it showed the kind of king he intended to be. The procession reached the Horse Lord's capital in the middle of August, where Theoden was laid to rest with full honors. From there, Aragorn traveled on to the ruined stronghold that had once belonged to the traitorous wizard. Among the rubble, he was handed the keys to an ancient tower by the tree shepherds who now guarded the land. Aragorn declared that broken fortress would never again belong to men. It would remain under the protection of its new guardians. This was also the final time the entire fellowship stood together in one place. From here, each companion would begin walking a separate path. Back in his home city, Aragorn had years of rebuilding ahead of him. He ordered the ruined tower restored, and its far-seeing stone returned to its rightful place. During the restoration, workers uncovered treasures that had been hidden for generations, including a lost silver jewel that had once belonged to the very first king of the Northern Realm. Aragorn also rebuilt the royal council, leaning heavily on Faramir wisdom, and he renewed an ancient promise of friendship between his kingdom and the Horse Lords. Not every neighboring land welcomed him with open arms. The southern peoples eventually chose peace and sent envoys to his court. But lands to the east, long twisted by the Dark Lord influence, remained restless. Rather than punish those who surrendered, Aragorn set them free. Yet for years afterward, he and his allies still had to ride out to defend their borders against lingering pockets of hatred that refused to fade, even after their master was gone. 17 years into his reign, Aragorn made a trip that meant more to him personally than almost any other. He traveled north with Arwen to visit his old Hobbit companions near their peaceful homeland. There, he made their land officially protected, forbidding any of his own people from entering without invitation. Years continued to pass, and with them came quiet changes. Elves resettled in the forests near the city, and dwarves helped rebuild its gates using precious metal and craftsmanship. Old friends visited less often as time wore on. Two of the last remaining Hobbit companions made one final journey to see him, spending their last years by his side before passing away peacefully. Then, at last, after ruling for over a century, Aragorn felt his own end approaching. Rather than wait for age to weaken him completely, he made a final, deliberate choice. He said goodbye to his son, handed over the crown, and let go of life on his own terms. Arwen, unable to bear the loss, left the city she has ruled beside him and traveled to the quiet forest, where they had first promised themselves to each other. It was there that she, too, eventually let go, closing one of the most enduring love stories ever told. Aragorn reign left behind more than victories and titles. It left behind a kingdom rebuilt from ruin and forgotten peoples remembered. His story did not end with a battle. It ended with peace, patiently earned.